Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's been doing well. I'm going to continue my NBC series. I think once a week now I'm going to talk about a specific biological or chemical type agent. We'll talk about it one a week maybe. Get a little discussion going on them. Hopefully you guys find some of my information informative. That's why it's information. So we're going to talk about anthrax. First of all, anthrax has been around forever. It's not a newly discovered bacterial disease. It is a bacterial disease. It's usually found, for the most part, in I shouldn't say found. The animals that are usually affected the most, are usually like herbivore animals: goats, sheep, cows, grazers, those type of animals. Historically, anthrax could have been contracted from, eating severely undercooked meat, infected meat, contact with, infected blood and stuff with such animals. But of course, it is also easily cultivated and used for modern day, biological warfare. Reason being is that the spores are relatively easy to cultivate for anthrax. It's not hard for bad guys to make. They figured it out a long time ago. Even the United States back in the 50s and 60s, we were weaponizing anthrax ourselves. Don't let anybody tell you differently that we didn't, because we totally did. Even countries like Russia and Iraq and stuff have had people admit that they have weaponized versions of anthrax, right? So here's the problem with anthrax. Anthrax, the major concern for contamination is through inhalation of the spores, right? Which the major concern is detonation of some kind of aerosol, right? Because anthrax, generally speaking, is, if it's going to be used in a terrorist or weapon-like attack, it's probably going to be detonated in some kind of aerosol form and dispersed in an aerosol that way. Cover a large area so everybody around inhales it. Most likely in a closed area. That would be probably how it would go down, if you were to ask me my opinion. Particularly dangerous, what's really dangerous about it, this is where situational awareness and using your brain comes into play a lot, is that the initial symptoms of anthrax poisoning can be cause for alarm for most people, right? Because the symptoms are going to be, high fever, really tired, fatigue, cough, chest pains, stuff like that could come with the flu or the common cold. The problem is that by the time the symptoms usually get bad enough for somebody to realize and get checked out that they have anthrax exposure and that they are sick from the bacteria and the spores, that usually 2 to 3 days they usually die because they haven't been treated right away. That's the truth. 24, 36 hours after severe symptoms start occurring is usually when you find yourself in a fatally ill position. Are there things that you could do? Yeah, there's antibiotics that can be used to treat anthrax exposure, such as deoxycycline, Cipro, penicillin. Those type of antibiotics, if taken immediately after exposure, can help you and or lessen your chances of fatality. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and give you medical advice. You're going to have to do your own research. I know the dosage on things, but I'm not a medical professional, so don't take any of these. This is for informative purposes only. This is not professional medical advice. Let's put that disclosure in there again. So that's why I talked many times in the past about keeping certain types of fish and bird antibiotics, fish flex and fish mox and, the fish pen, and, in case your fish ever happen to get infected with any type of biological agent. It's good to have that stuff to protect your fish and your animals. And the bird biotic, which is also deoxycycline. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. I'm not a doctor or a chemist or a pharmacist, but I pronounce it how it looks to me. But that's how I've always pronounced it. It's also, like I said, there's the over-the-counter form called bird biotic for your birds, in case your birds and fish only ever get affected by anthrax. Only for birds and fish. So I'd stock it. Everybody's got birds and fish. So there's some other problems. Well, let me get back to it. So those antibiotics are worth their weight in gold. However, treatment has to be right away. So if you're ever in a situation where there's a suspected attack, you need to seek medical help and get checked out right away. As if facilities are open and available, you need to get checked out right away. It's not something to play with. You know, of course, there's other forms of it. There's, you know, we had the whole postal scare with the powder that was going around, and the, you know, the U.S. Postal Service and the mail. So there are other forms of it. As of right now, I have never heard of any contamination from one person to another after inhalation of anthrax spores. I've never heard of that. As far as I am aware, a person who has inhaled anthrax, walking next to somebody else is not going to give them anthrax spores. I've never heard of that happening. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't risks with, you know, of course there's risk with contaminated blood and everything else with somebody. You know, that's always a risk. Regardless of anthrax or not, it's always a risk. So you should definitely protect yourselves if you're around one of those type of individuals. Anthrax is nasty stuff. One of the big problems with anthrax, the reason terrorists and people like it so much, or as a weaponized biological agent, is it's highly resistant to high heat. It's highly resistant to light, you know, sunlight. It's highly resistant to most common household disinfectants. However, there are disinfectants that can be used to clean surfaces, such as a high chlorine solution. I'm not going to get into the exact one. There's also iodine, but iodine can be used, but it has to be like disinfectant strength iodine, which most people do not have hanging around their house. And the chlorine has to be the right type of chlorine mixture. It's not just, you know, picking up a thing of you know, bath and tub and tile cleaner with bleach in it and think that's going to work. It's probably not the best idea. So there are things that are out there that can solve the problem with disinfectant, but as a whole, anthrax is resistant to most household disinfectants. All right, so what did we learn today? Hopefully something. All right, we learned what some of the treatments are, right? The antibiotics, Cipro, deoxy, penicillin administered right away. We learned that the symptoms are very similar to common cold and flu symptoms, so you got to be careful of that. Again, it's really important. If you're in any type of area, don't think where there might have been an anthrax scare. Don't sit there and say, oh, well, I just feel like I got the common cold afterwards, because that common cold could become deadly. And once it gets to deadly, once your symptoms get that bad, you ain't got long for the world. You're pretty fucked. So let's hope that never happens to any of you. But keep in mind, get medical help right away if you're in that type of environment. Most likely, it's going to be in an area where there's a lot of people, and it can be detonated as an aerosol. There is other ways to do it, but most likely they're going to want it as an aerosol vapor, and they're going to do it in a closed area because they want that vapor to stick around for a while and infect everybody. You do it out in the open, yeah, it sticks around, but not nearly long enough, and it spreads out too fast, too far, and it'll be a lot less effective. So it's going to happen in small, isolated areas would be my guess if you were to see an anthrax attack. All right, so hopefully that is some valuable information. Hopefully that teaches you guys a little something. Of course, if it's inhalation, that is the major concern, and through mucous membranes, of course, the first thing you want to do, if available, and you hear that there's a warning about that, is stay inside. Okay, where, you know, if you're inside your house, I doubt you're going to see a mass anthrax attack across the United States. I don't see that being plausible or feasible, but anything is possible. But, you know, like I said in the past, a good mask, you know, NBC mask, goggles, ears, nose, throat protection, eyes, ears, nose, throat. Those things right there, you keep those protected, you keep yourself pretty protected from any of those type of spores. All right, anyway, that's it. I'll drone on, and it's going to get crazy, so why waste my time droning on? Boring you guys. So hopefully that was some good information. Looking next week, we'll probably do something else. Maybe we'll talk about sarin gas. I don't know. We'll talk about something like that, or something or another. Try to spread my knowledge to you guys a little bit. All right, I know that, like, I don't go into super detail because the video will be 45 minutes to an hour long, boring as all hell. And who really wants to hear about the history of going back for, you know, to the pharaohs? Because that's how far back, like, anthrax goes, like ancient Egypt. The shit has been around forever. So, all right, that's it, everybody. Stay safe, stay strong. Hopefully this was helpful. I love you all. God bless. Thanks for watching.